What's up, fellas? This is Jay with Nothing But Net with a special fanboy edition. Today I'm bringing you the top 10 excuses for LeBron James. Stay tuned. All these fanboy excuses range from ridiculous to legitimate, but let's start from the beginning. In 2007, LeBron and the Cavs lost to the San Antonio Spurs. And the number 10 excuse that I hear is LeBron was only 22 years old, his team shouldn't have never been there, and the Spurs were loaded. Fanboys, the other team being better is not an excuse. That's just a reality, okay? But nevertheless, that is number 10 on the LeBron fanboy list of excuses. Number 9, Boston had a super team. LeBron's best teammate was Boobie Gibson. I mean, first of all, that's factually incorrect. People just like to say the name Boobie for whatever reason. But fanboys, the other team being better is not an excuse. Okay? It's not an excuse. Stop using it as an excuse. When LeBron went to Miami and tried to tilt the balance for not 5, not 6, not 7 championships, there was no excuses when they won. It was all good, right? Shit was all good just a week ago when LeBron was winning with super teams. But when he lost against the super team, suddenly it's unfair. Boston had a super team. LeBron's best teammate was Boobie Gibson. It's not an excuse, but it still makes the list because that is the number 9 excuse for LeBron James. Number 8. Next. Number 7 is probably the most ridiculous out of all of them because I've heard fanboys make excuses for years for LeBron. I always say he has more excuses than championships. But the one failure that they never tried to make excuses for was his performance against Dallas. Everyone always says that's the one time he messed up and they can't make excuse for it. It is what it is. But now it seems like 3-6 Mafia has had enough of it and they've come out in drones and now they're even making excuses for this. And their favorite excuse is Dallas beat OKC and they beat the defending champion Lakers with Kobe. So somehow that's an excuse for LeBron to choke. Now, if you were to say that's an excuse for Miami to lose because we underestimated Dallas, that's one thing. But Dallas beating Kobe and the Lakers and a young OKC team is not an excuse for LeBron choking on the biggest stage of his career after creating a super team. That's not an excuse, fanboys. Give that one up. Number 6 on LeBron's More Excuses Than Championships video. The Spurs, they had 4 Hall of Famers. Even though 3 of them were dinosaurs. And I'm pretty sure Miami had 4 because you got Ray Allen when he hit the shot. And then you got Miami's big 3. So they had 4 Hall of Famers. But to fanboys, they don't care. They only count the other team's Hall of Famers and they make excuses. So in the 2014 NBA Finals, when the Heat got blown out by a record finals margin, that is the excuse I always hear, is the Spurs were loaded and Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh were breaking down. Number 5 on the list of fanboy excuses for LeBron James. This is what I call the legitimate excuse, because we range from legitimate to ridiculous. Kyrie and Kevin Love were injured during the 2015 NBA Finals. That is a legitimate excuse. And I'm president of the I Hate LeBron James fan club, yet I have no choice but to give him a pass on losing that and compliment his effort that he even put into that series. But nevertheless, he lost. Sometimes you can't have the win-win where if you win, it's you're great, you're the GOAT, and if you lose, it's, well, he didn't have this guy. But I give that a legitimate excuse at the end of the day, but it's still an excuse, and that's number 5 on the list. Number 4, KD joined a 73-win Warriors team. Now, at first glance, this might seem like a legitimate excuse because it doesn't seem fair that KD would join Steph, Clay, and Draymond, and Iggy for that matter. But when you look deeper into it, the fact that they beat LeBron James, it makes it okay. And I don't mean that from a hater perspective. I'm talking about the fact that LeBron flew down south to Miami, to South Beach, to join Wade and Bosh because he wanted to tilt the balance of power in his favor. He wanted to join the 3rd best shooting guard of all time in his prime. He wanted to win not 5, not 6, not 7, not 8. They thought they were going to dominate the entire NBA. So it was all good when he joined all these stars and went against Dirk Nowitzki, and he's the only star on his team. So it's 3 stars against 1, even though he choked that away. It was all good a week ago when he did that. But now that he's going up against a team that just one-upped him on that, now it's a problem. Now it's an excuse. And the fact of the matter is, that was 3 against 1 when he went against Dirk, as far as all-stars against all-stars. With Golden State versus the Cavs, they still had Kyrie and Love. So it's really 4-3. The Warriors only had one more all-star than the Cavs. So even though it wasn't evenly matched, it wasn't like an 8 seed versus a 1 seed. It wasn't, especially when you have LeBron. So that, fanboys, is not an excuse. Give that one up, although I doubt you will. Number 3. Kind of the same as number 4, KD's on the Warriors, but only slightly different because Kyrie left. So Kyrie's gone, and now you're facing the Warriors again. So now you're down to only 2 all-stars. 2 players who were once franchise players against 4. So yeah, the Warriors are heavy favorites. They're expected to win this series. It goes on LeBron's record. But you know what? It's still an excuse. Sometimes, fanboys, you got to take the L. Especially when, like I said before, if you're going to go make super teams wherever you go, now you've created something. You've opened a Pandora's box, and now you have to deal with super teams. So that's number 3, is KD still on the Warriors, except Kyrie left. And by the way, for those who kind of forgot, LeBron wouldn't have even made it to the finals if Kyrie and Gordon Hayward were healthy. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown took the Cavs to Game 7 before they finally got past and went to the finals. I'm pretty sure if Kyrie and Hayward were healthy, the Celtics would have won that series in 5 or 6. But that's neither here nor there. No ifs, ands, no excuses. It is what it is. He took that Cavs team to the finals. And once you're in championship mode, once you call yourself the GOAT, you have to win that. No excuses. More excuses than championships. LeBron James. Number 2, on the more excuses than championships, LeBron James edition. This is one of my favorites, actually, because I hear it so much from Chris Broussard, from Nick Wright, from fanboys on YouTube. The Lakers were the 4th seed before LeBron got injured. The 4th seed, ladies and gentlemen. No fan base brags more about coming in 2nd place than LeBron James' fan base. They brag more about losing in the NBA Finals and his ability to get there but not win it, more than any other fan base that I've ever seen. Now, the bar has been lowered even more, that they're bragging about being in 4th place at Christmas. Do they realize that just a week before, the Grizzlies were in 1st place? That early in the season, especially in the West, everything's crazy. They were in the 4th place, but they were only a few games out of being out of the playoffs. That's how close the West was. That's how different the West is than the East. That's why people said so much about LeBron being in the East and dominating Eastern Conference so weak. They changed the All-Star format and were in discussions, and still are, to change the playoff format. That's how weak the East was, that he dominated with his super teams. Now you go West, and you don't have that luxury. So it's just something you got to deal with. But it was Christmas. And it's not like he came back and they were 20 games out of the playoffs and he had no chance. He came back and they were 1 game out of the 8th spot behind the Clippers, who just traded Tobias Harris, their best player. 1 game behind the Clippers. And he went on, after he activated playoff mode, to lose to several below 500 teams, including the Suns, the Grizzlies, the Hawks, the Pacers without Oladipo by like 40 points. After activating playoff mode, after he came back from injury, the Lakers were 28-27 with LeBron in the lineup. Nevertheless, that's not good enough for fanboys, because they need an excuse. They need a reason for his L's. And that is the number 2 reason on the list. We were the 4th seed at Christmas. And number 1 on the list today, on the more excuses than championships, LeBron James edition, is COVID-19. Now, clearly, the playoffs haven't happened yet, but they're coming. And once they do, I'm predicting this will be the fanboy excuse for this year. Last year it was injuries, but prior to that it was other teams were just better. His teammates sucked. His teammates got injured. It was always something. Guy smashed his mom. His coaches met his aunt. His grandma dated the ball boy. It's always something. But this time, it's going to be COVID-19. It's going to be the layoff. The fanboys are going to say, right before the season abruptly ended, they just beat the Clippers and they just beat the Bucks in the same weekend. LeBron was in MVP form. And COVID-19 happened. That will be the excuse when they lose in the playoffs this year. Mark my words. I appreciate you guys checking out Nothing But Net. That was the More Excuses Than Championships LeBron James edition. These are just excuses that I hear on a daily basis on YouTube from fanboys and from the media like Nick Wrong and Shannon Sharp. So I just had to put a top 10 list together. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have other excuses that I didn't mention, make sure you put them in the comments. If you disagree, if you're a LeBron James fan or just a fanboy, put them in the comments. Tell me I'm wrong. Holla at your boy. I appreciate you guys checking out the video. Till next time, be safe. One.